to make it interactive, I'll come to you. So we'll be in a better position to know more about it, because I don't want it to make it a boring session. So, okay. So anything which comes, you need to know the history, because some examiners, old examiners, are very fond in asking who is the father of that, who is the mother of this, and all those things. You should know the history. It's Novotny and Alvis. They were actually the medical students who first described about the angiography, and of course it is the Donald Gass began his experiments on the FFA and ICG. So coming to the very brief about FFA and ICG, whenever a question is asked in the examination, you need to write based on the principles, what are the excitation, emittation, what are the filters, techniques, what are the phases of the normal angiogram, what are the causes of the hypofluorescence, hyperfluorescence, and I'll not go into the detail. General principles, I think you all know it. It's 85% serum bound and 15% unbound to free fluorescein. So this is what excitation and the emission filters. I'll not go into the details. This is a photographic technique. Let's go more into the, so what are the common adverse reaction do you find? Is while injecting you can find the extravasation of the dye, or you can also see occasional vomiting in these kind of the patients. Or less common are the asthmatic symptoms. You can have a syncopal attacks, you can have a laryngeal edema, and few patients can also have an anaphylaxis to the fluorescein. And another less common is the hives, which we always used to know about it. So what are the contraindication? Absolute is adverse drug reaction to fluorescein. Once you have done that and you know that they have an allergy or the reaction, then it's absolute. Relative are asthma, hay fever, renal failure, hepatic failure, and the first trimester of pregnancy. So these are the emergency drugs you need to know. What are the emergency drugs you need to keep it, madam? In the case when you have, when you are keeping, what you need to keep in the tray?
There should be adrenaline injections.
Very good. So it should be an adrenaline, aminophylline, atropine, and definitely deriphyllin also has to be put in along with the endotracheal tubes and everything. So I'll not go into the details of which. Let's go more, make it more interactive, and important consideration I've already told when to avoid it. What are these artifacts? This is very important, we need to know. What is this? This is the color artifact, right? You can see the flashlight reflectance there. That's the crescentic artifact, what you get it. And then you have the other types of artifacts are the shape artifacts. What is this? It's because of the mismatch of the focus. Either you keep it more closer to the eye, the camera lens is more closer to the eye, or it is far away, it is defocused. And sometimes you have a dark spots. That is because again of the, yes, mismatch of the focusing, where actually there is no anatomy there on the fovea, but it looks like there is something abnormal. So these are the dark spot artifacts. And then you have exposure artifacts. What is exposure artifacts? Here you can see this is because of the mismatch of the fundus camera device or the hard disk, where the one image can be overexposed on the other image, causing a double exposure artifact, or you can have a blooming effect artifact. What is blooming effect artifact? It's because of the increasing intensity of the flashlight which we are using. Actually there is no that much of abnormal hyperfluorescence, but it is showing hyperfluorescence when there is actually no much hyperfluorescence. So that is what is called as the blooming effect artifact. So, and the next, what is this? Sharpness. I'll not go into the detail, you all might be knowing because you all are very experts in taking the photography through the cameras and the mobiles. So what is this? Double image. It's because of, yes, gas. Very good. So because of the gas you use, that is the either the SF6 or the C3F8 gas you used, it looks like a double image artifacts. And multiple shiny reflexes. This might be due to, very good, it's because of the silicone oil. So sometimes you have the silicone oil reflexes also appearing. So let's go into this video. So this is the dynamic where you can see here the filling of the arterial choroidal fluorescence, then comes the arterial phase, then comes the early venous phase, mid venous phase, late venous phase, elimination phase. Okay, so let's go into it quickly one by one. So what are the phases? Choroidal phase 10 to 12 seconds. You see the early choroidal flush, you see the patchy choroidal filling, and definitely sometimes you also have, what is that? Cilioretinal artery. Coming to the next, you have is the arterial phase. In this arterial phase, the laser, which is the laser? Sorry. Laser. doesn't work with this? Okay. Yes. So what is this? You can see the retinal arteries filling up, the retinal veins are still empty. You can see that as a dark color, and continuation of the choroidal fluorescence. You can see the background choroidal fluorescence, which arterial phase is usually 1 second after the choroidal phase. And next we have is the arteriovenous phase, right? So you can see whether you can call it as a laminar flow or you can call it as a bilaminar flow. Why does it happen? Because the fluorescein sticks to the wall of the vein. The central lumen, what is having a good velocity, good force, but whereas the fluorescein which is coming at the walls of these veins, they try to stick to the veins, and that's how we call it as a laminar flow, and it is on the both the sides we call it as a bilaminar flow. Now coming to the next is the arteriovenous phase. This I have already showed you, the bilaminar flow here. Now this is the midvenous phase. In the midvenous phase you can see the arteries are already filled up, the veins, this vein is already filled up, this vein is about to fill up. So this is the midvenous phase. Some veins completely, but some show marked laminar flow. Now coming to the next is the late venous phase. So what is the late venous phase? You can see the complete filling of the arteries as well as complete filling of the veins. And the most important you want to notice here is the perifoveal capillary network is visualized in the late venous phase, which is called as a foveal avascular zone. So then the last is the elimination phase or the late phase, which is usually 5 to 10 minutes fluorescein from the absent of the angiogram. So these are the timings which you need to know. Arm to retina is 7 to 12, posterior ciliary artery fills in 9 seconds, choroidal flush in 10 seconds, arterial phase 10 to 12 seconds. So one by one it goes on, you keep on adding up the time to that. So why is the lack of fluorescence in case of fovea? Can anyone fast? Yes, it's written there. Exactly, there is no vessels, avascularity, and secondly there is increased density of the xanthophylls and the taller RPE cells, which causes the blockage of the choroidal fluorescence. So what are the different causes of hyperfluorescence you have? One is the RPE atrophy. What is RPE atrophy? It's nothing but called as the window defect or the transmission defect. That is, RPE is absent there and you are seeing the background choroidal fluorescence. The other one you have is the pooling of the dye. When do you see the pooling of the dye? Either when the dye accumulates under the RPE, what we call it as a pigment epithelial detachment, or when it above the RPE, that means in the neurosensory retina. So that happens in case of CSPR. Very good. So what are the other causes of hyperfluorescence? Either we can have a leakage of the dye. Leakage is usually happening in the late phases of the angiogram, and now you can see the leakage from the choroidal neovascularization, this second figure here. And also what is this? This is nothing but the staining. The staining should always be commented when you have it in the late phase of the angiogram, not in the early phases of the angiogram. It's mainly staining of the drusen. So what is this? Quick. Window defect. Very good. So this is the case of large geographical atrophy, which you can see the background choroidal fluorescence, but whereas you can see the drusens here, which are stained. What is this? Sequential I am going. What is this image? Which kind of fluorescein angiography is this, boss? This is the red-free image. There is no fluorescence here. Can you see any vessels here? Can you see a dye in these vessels here? No. This is a red-free image. What is this now? Late phase. Okay. Yes, yes, quickly. You can see in this mid-venous or the late venous phase, there is some hyperfluorescence appearing here, right? And as you go on to the next phase, you see the increased hyperfluorescence here. And when you come to the last figure, what do you see here? Petaloid appearance. So this is the case of? Very good. Cystoid macular edema. Okay. So what are the causes of the hypofluorescence? Something has to block it, or there has to be no vessels. These are the only two reasons. So it can be the blood under the retinal pigment epithelium, or the pre-retinal or the intraretinal blood. And as I said, vascular occlusion is mainly because of capillary non-perfusion. There is no capillaries at all to cause fluorescence. So that causes non-perfusion area, and in case of choroideremia or high myopia. This is very, very important. Whenever the examiner asks you in the practicals, describe the fluorescein angiography, I have seen many of our students just jumping into this is the hyperfluorescent, this is that, and no. The examiner will like the sequential. First you need to know the age, the gender, the clinical findings if possible, if given, is very relevant. It's very important for you to first know the clinical findings. Identify whether it's a red free. As I asked the previous question, he said early phase. It was a red free image, right? Which eye? If the disc is on the right, it's the right eye. If the disc is on the left, it's the left eye. Is there any arm retinal delay? And remember it as SAM, that is sequential, anatomical and morphological. Sequential is always you have to go phase by phase. You cannot ask for hyperfluorescence in the early phase because of the staining. It's always in the late phase. Then anatomical, whether the leakage is at the choroidal level, or it's at the RPE level, or it's at the neurosensory retinal level. And the other most important is the morphological. Then comment on whether it's a hyperfluorescent or the hypofluorescent. Don't jump into the fluorescence immediately. And another important, scan through. This is what I was asking few of the examiners, and this they gave me the slide, the most what they like into. First scan through the macula, then the major vascular arcades, then the disc, then the periphery, and look for any pathognomical features. So let's go quickly. Come on, what is this? I know that, but explain the fluorescence, boss. So you can see the cloudy swelling of the retina here, and this is the again late venous phase.
Absence of blood flow.
Exactly, there is absence of the flow here because it's the branch retinal artery occlusion where there is a filling defect, because of which you are not seeing the fluorescence due to choriocapillaries. What is this? Okay. And then what are these patchy areas of hypofluorescence you see? Very good. So that is the capillary non-perfusion areas in case of CRVO. What is this? Quickly. This is drusen. These are all drusens. Okay, this is again the late venous phase where you can see the patchy areas of hyperfluorescence here. And what is this you see? You see the tract here, right? What are these? Multiple areas of hyperfluorescence. Yes? Tract. I'm telling you that, giving you a sign, tract, leakage. Very good. CSCR. This is the case of chronic CSCR, where you can see all of these is due to the transmission defect or the window defect. It's not due to the actual leakage. It's the case of chronic CSCR which is settled. So let's go into it. What is this? Very good. So this is nothing but a cystoid macular edema. OCT is also given as a clue here, where you can see intraretinal fluid spaces. Okay, let's go to the next. What are these? So this is the neovascularization of the disc, where you see the leakage at the disc. Okay, the next one, NVE. So you can see the hyperfluorescence due to neovascularization elsewhere, and then because of the proliferative diabetic retinopathy. And what are these? This laser is not very good on the LED, I think. The first one is what? It's the leakage. The second one is what? Yes, that are nothing but the collateral vessels. So that's another important point between the NVE and the collaterals is NVE leak, whereas collaterals do not leak. Okay, so next we have is, yes, what is this? Come on, quickly. Which phase of angiogram this is? Arterial phase, because you see the background choroidal fluorescence, the arteries are already filling up. Yes, what is happening in the mid phase? You can see the arteries are already filled up. It is 32 seconds. The veins are still not that filled up. There is a delay in the vein filling. And then as you see, there is already, you can see the tortuosity and the dilatations of these vessels. And you can see 45 seconds, it is still filling. Very good. So this is nothing but the case of CRVO, right? And in the center you can see there is a macular edema here, and in the periphery you can see this is the areas of capillary non-perfusion areas or dropout areas, and you can see the edema there in the center. Okay, next. Yes, quickly. Yes, BRVO, very good. And what are these? So these are the capillary dropout areas where the BBOS has suggested that if it is more than 5 disc diameters, if you calculate these capillary dropout areas, then you have to do a scatter laser photocoagulation. And this is how you need to just try to draw the capillary non-perfusion areas and try to finish it up. What is this? This is what I am asking you. you always jump into the diagnosis first. You always have to tell which eye, which phase of the angiogram, what is the feature of this angiogram, and then tell the final diagnosis. Yeah, you see the smokestack pattern in this, and what is this you see in the right side? Pooling of the dye, right? Okay, so let's go. What is the pooling? In the subretinal space you see the CSCR, and if it is in the sub-RP space, it's PED. So how do you describe PED? Just remember, it's like a rheostat of the slit lamp. So what happens if you turn on the rheostat of the slit lamp? Only the intensity of the light increases, whereas the shape remains the same. So PED is increase in the fluorescence, but the shape remains the same. So what is this? Quickly, any one of you? Yes, madam. What is this? Okay, late phase of the angiogram where you can see the arteries have already, the dye has gone out, the vein is almost going out. What do you see in the center? What do you see here? What do you see here? Fast, quickly. Huh? Hyperfluorescence in this area, okay, it might be due to NVE, okay, and then capillary non-perfusion areas or the capillary dropout areas, and you can see in the center, yes, cystoid macular, diabetic macular edema. Now, how do you angiographically classify the diabetic macular edema? Focal leak, diffuse leak, right? And if you have the ischemia, you have the increase in the FAZ, right? So here what you see this, what are these small areas of hypofluorescence surrounded by hyperfluorescence? Everybody knows that, but how do you describe it? Why is there the hypofluorescence in the center and the hyperfluorescence at the border? Yes, yes, quickly. That is because of the central scar what you have, that pigment blocking, and then the RPE comes at the, sits at the periphery where you can see the hyperfluorescence due to, yes? Okay, good. So now what is this? First, OCT. I have given you a clue. If you see the fundus image here, you can see, definitely see a demarcation line here. So that gives you a clue that there is some fluid around this. And what kind of pattern is this? Ink blot pattern. So what are the two different types of pattern you see in CSCR? Smokestack pattern and ink blot. And why is it so smokestack? Quickly. Yes, madam. Because of the difference of the protein concentration in the subretinal fluid, we do get this smokestack pattern. Now coming to the last, what is the staining? So staining is because of, in the late phase, you can see the perivascular staining here in case of perivasculitis, or what is this? Drusen's. So you can see the staining in the late phase. Always see the vessels here, right? So the vessels are already, you see the arteries have gone out, there is no dye, the veins are almost going out, so it definitely indicates that it's a late phase of the angiogram, and you see multiple pinpoint hyperfluorescence. Clinical picture is also given, which is very conclusive of Drusen. So what is this? Huh? What's that? Premacular, okay, you can call it as a pre-retinal hemorrhage, okay. You can call it as a pre-retinal hemorrhage because you can see the vessels are not covered, it causes a blockage fluorescence. And what is this? Subretinal hemorrhage. So in this subretinal hemorrhage, you can definitely see the vessels crossing over, and there is definitely the blockage fluorescence because of the subretinal hemorrhage. Now what is this phase? Quick. Very good. Any gifts, then you should give it to her. It's a choroidal phase because you can see the choroidal fluorescence, and you can see the cilioretinal artery. Fantastic. So let's go into it quick. Any guesses for this? I'll go quickly. Huh? Multiple. Polypoidal, no. No. You can see this is the patchy pinpoint hyperfluorescence with, very good. Who said that? Definitely you will get a prize, madam. It's nothing but the VKH, where you can see definitely the multiple neurosensory detachment, or it's also described as the exudative RDs in these kind of cases. So this is nothing but a case of VKH. So let's go into the next. ICG, I'll go quickly. I'll run through these. Early phase, you need to know it's a disc hypofluorescence, then prominent filling of the choroidal arteries, what you see here, right? And what is in the early middle phase? You see prominent filling of the veins. You see this? Prominent filling of the choroidal veins. That is called as the early middle phase. And then you have late middle phase, where you see there is diffuse hyperfluorescence due to diffusion of the dye from the choriocapillaries, and the late one is at the 21 minutes where you see the absence of the dye. Oh, sorry. So I'll not go into the details of it. Where is the ICG used? In case of macular degeneration, occult CNVM, to identify it from the PCV, central serous retinopathy, inflammatory. What is this kind of hyperfluorescence? Whether it's ICG or FFA? Boss, see here what is written here. If you can't identify this, at least see here. There is a clue there. Yeah, always try to look into it, whether it's an FA or ICG. If you get, no, sometimes in the examination I do understand that the tension you forgot to find, but try to get some clues. It will always be written here unless they hide it. So this is the lacy pattern of the hyperfluorescence. In case of what kind of CNVM we describe lacy pattern? Very good, classic CNVM. So what are the different classification? You call it the extrafoveal, subfoveal, juxtafoveal. I think we can, sir is trying to distribute these notes, I will give it to you later. So what are the different types of occult CNVM? You know, two different basic types. Type 1 is fibrovascular PED, where you can see here the OCT, you can see the fibrovascular kind of PED, you can see the stippled hyperfluorescence here, and you are not able to know the actual leakage where it is happening from. And then you have the late leaks, that is type 2, it is called as LLUS, late leakage of undetermined source, where you do not know the actual source of the leakage, but definitely you can see the hyperfluorescence due to the leakage. Now, what is the hot spot and the plaque? Can anyone describe it? Very common question by the examiners. When do you call it as a hot spot? Madam, when do you call it as a hot spot? Huh? Yes, in case of occult CNVM, when the hyperfluorescence you see is less than 1 disc diameter, it is called as the hot spot. If it's more than 1 disc diameter, it is called as a plaque. So what is this? Can anyone describe? Boss, what is the FA feature of this? See here, he said FA, yes, hyperfluorescence. It's ICG. See the choroidal vessels always. The choroidal vessels are more marked seen, right? And definitely you can see the black coloration of the disc, which gives you a clue it's not an FA, it's an ICG. So this is an FA here. You see the retinal arteries and the veins are more prominently seen than the choroid. Here you can see the choroidal vessels are seen and the disc is jet black here. And what is this? What is this? Fast, quickly. This is the pooling of the dye, the PED, and then here the PED appears hypofluorescent or hypocyanescent. And what is this here? Nodular. Quick. You said no, man. Polyps, man. Yeah. So this is nothing but FFA versus ICG in case of polyps. So what is this? It's written, read. It's a nodular hyperfluorescence which is seen in 90% of the cases. Branching vascular network is seen in 75% of the cases. So let's see this. You can see this pulsating. You can see the pulsating polyp there. Can you see? Yeah. So in how many cases you see the pulsating polyps? Of course, it's let's come into it later. What is this? Fast, quickly. Last few slides. This is definitely FFA, right? Or ICG? ICG, wonderful. And what is this? You can see some areas of hyperfluorescence here, but definitely you can see the abnormal vascular network, right? In absence of feeder vessel, it is called as interconnecting channels. Okay? So coming to the next, what is this? In the face of ICG, you can definitely see the feeder vessel, the yellow mark. I don't know why this laser is not. What is that? That's the feeder vessel. And this is actually the filling of the complete abnormal vascular network, which is called as the BVN. That is the branching vascular network. Okay. Thank you. And what is this? You can see the polyp here and definitely multiple patches of fluorescence, hyperfluorescence, which is because of the choroidal hyperpermeability. And what is this? What is LGH? Late geographic hyperfluorescence. That is clear demarcation of the geographic atrophy. So these are the Everest studies. And last two, what is this? What is this? First slide and second slide, quickly. Written, man, again, read, man. ICG in case of occult CNVM. See, in case of FFA, can you see this vascular network here? No. Whereas in FFA, definitely there is a blood here and you can see the vascular network very easily. See, that is the beauty of the ICG. Okay? So what is this? Can anyone hit this? A dinner from me today. Retina? Who said rap? He will give it to me. He is disqualified. Yes, anyone? He said the answer, yeah. Rap. What? Angiomatous proliferans. So here you can see this, the pooling of the dye here. Again, in the ICG you can see hypocyanogens, but a small area of hyperfluorescence where you can see the retinal arterioles going into the substance of these hyperfluorescence should always give you a clue of RAP. That is nothing but type 3 CNVM. I have also given a OCT here as well, which is giving you a clue. PD along with intraretinal cystic edema and the fluorescein angiography, 3 together is conclusive of a RAP lesion. Okay? Last one, sir. What is this? Quickly. Very good. Choroidal rupture because of trauma causing transmitted hyperfluorescence. Okay? So this is along with the macular hole here. Now this last one. What is this? Quickly. Over, sir. Quick. Oh. Myopic. No, you can see the patchy area of hypofluorescence here, right? And you see hyperfluorescence here. This is the ICG, again hypo, again you see, Who said that? Fantastic. It's a case of RP rip. So what happens here in case of rip? Here the RP folds back, it rolls on. So the choroidal fluorescence is obscured. Whereas here you see adjacent hyperfluorescence is due to window defect because there is no RPE there. You see the choroidal fluorescence. Whereas in case of ICG, since there is no RPE, you can see the choroidal vasculature very nicely and neatly here. So this is a case nothing but RPE rip. The OCT also shows the discontinuity of the RPE. There is a tear in the RPE. Okay, I think we'll conclude this. And last one. Do you know why is it called as a silent choroid? In which condition it is called as silent choroid? See this, not me. Very good. So the Stargardt's disease, here you can see the window defect here and the RP because of the lipofuscin pigmentation, there is complete blockage of the choroidal fluorescence. That's why it's called as a silent choroid. Whereas in the center, you see the transmitted or the background choroidal fluorescence, window defect, transmission defect is nothing but a typical case of Stargardt's. So with this, we'll come to the conclusion.
Thank you.
And